Hey, good afternoon to you. Mark Seth, HurricaneTrack here. Thursday now, the 9th of October, 2025. Appreciate you tuning in to today's video. I want to start off talking about Jerry getting kind of close now to our friends in the Northeast Caribbean, so we're going to discuss that first, then a look at the flooding potential for our friends in the desert southwest of the U.S. and actually up into the Rockies from Priscilla, and then another system that's going to be developing in the East Pac. We will also, of course, talk about the upcoming coastal storm, nor'easter, hybrid, whatever you want to call it. Going to bring some impacts for sure over the weekend and maybe into early next week. And then maybe just a little bit of a hint of something pretty interesting developing perhaps in the Northwest Caribbean that I saw on the GFS operational as I was doing my work today. I was like, hey, where'd that come from? I'll show you. We'll talk about it together, shall we? Yes, we shall. Let's first start off with a look at our very own interactive tracking map. This is the latest advisory related to Tropical Storm Jerry. It's expected to be near the northern Leeward Islands later today. Absolutely, tropical storm warning issued now for Barbuda, and you can totally understand why. That's Barbuda right there, by the way. Irma went right over that way back in 2017. Very devastating. You got Antigua, Barbuda up here, the St. Bartolome. I don't think it's going to get far enough to the west to impact these areas directly, but Antigua, maybe up towards Barbuda. Yeah, that's possible. This is the center line. Of course, we know that tropical cyclones are not little circles, nor are they little dashed lines or little swirly animated red symbols, right? Instead, they are that big old chunk of real estate covered by showers and thunderstorms, gusty winds. Still that center racing out ahead of the deeper thunderstorm activity here. Jerry moving very fast off to the northwest. That's Guadalupe. You got Barbuda up here. There's Antigua, St. Bart's, and Anguilla up here, and other islands. All kind of, this is St. Kitts and Nevis. Anyway, squally weather, and as long as we can keep this shenanigans out of there, things won't get too out of hand. And a strengthening system, or one that's trying to strengthen, can bring some exacerbated impacts. The winds can translate down to the surface quite efficiently, but with this being disheveled like this, hopefully we can keep that deep thunderstorm activity, the convection, as it were, down to the south and east of all of these islands. And if you look at it off the dashboard here from Tropical Tidbits, definitely some very cold cloud tops in there. And again, if we can just keep this stuff away from the islands over here, then it won't be nearly as impactful. By the way, this shows you the importance of infrared, which is what this is, not a radar. I see people oftentimes confusing an infrared satellite loop for radar. They say, did you see that radar animation? No, this is not radar. This is measuring the temperatures of the cloud tops, and the way the legend here that Dr. Levi Cowan has put together for us tells us that the pinks and the grays and whites in there are very high cloud tops in the atmosphere, and the higher up you go, the colder the temps are. And some of those pinks in there, you're talking some very cold cloud tops, meaning very heavy rainfall underneath and probably some strong winds with that. So again, if we can keep all that away from the islands, we can avoid some direct impacts. But what really stands out is the importance of visible imagery versus infrared, because on this, good luck trying to locate the center, but on here, pretty darn easy to see that elongated center racing out from underneath that deep thunderstorm activity. Drop me out of the shot again real quick. I want to go back to this, though, and look at the overall guidance for all of this. This is the low center. Pretty cool that we can just plot it up and see that's where it is. So the low center itself, fairly far away from the overall island chain, right? But if we go look at the guidance, some of the modeling, I'm telling you, these HAFS models are still, these brand new hurricane intensity models and track models, still insisting that this stays way to the left of the forecast track. I don't think that's going to happen. This would probably imply a pretty weak system overall. But you got to watch just to see, because so far Jerry has leaned left quite a bit related to where we thought it was going to be, and now we have it pretty close to the islands. But as I just showed you, most of the heaviest of the showers and thunderstorms and the squally weather should stay just off to the east and hopefully south mainly east, though, of those aforementioned islands. All right, this is what it looks like on the animation here from the GFS. I do want to show you this. 12Z run. I'll animate it frame by frame. Not a very healthy looking system at the 5,000 foot level, 850 millibars. Move this out through time, and it finally does seem to get its act together right through here at about hour 54 or so. Maybe becomes a hurricane at that point, and yes, we see the coastal storm. We'll talk about that momentarily. This is hour 96. We'll just fast forward it. There is Bermuda right there, so no worries for Bermuda. There's our would-be Hurricane Jerry, and it goes on out, and that is that. But you notice this down here? Interesting, out at 96 hours, you get this curling up, some energy trying to bundle in the Caribbean. It is kind of sneaking up on me. I wasn't expecting much. And if we take this out to day 5, just south of the Cayman Islands right here, the vorticity starts to come together. Is this the start of, oh, we got to watch the Western Caribbean? Or is it a one-off from the GFS? If we run this out to 1 week, yeah, we do get something that does develop and into the Yucatan Channel, south of a stout area of high pressure up to the north. So it does make sense, climatologically speaking. This area is favored, but we'll see. It might just be a one-off. We'll see what the ensembles start to show. We will certainly be on top of that. But let's just review everything again. Jerry finally gets his act together, moves on out to the east, and then we have to watch potentially for something to develop down there in the Western Caribbean. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that evolves. Now, I want to make sure we really do focus on this. All that green out there, flash flood watches for parts of Nevada, California, Arizona, Utah, and even southwest Colorado. New Mexico left out for now, but I think they'll get in on some of this rainfall, especially as the next system starts to take shape. Speaking of that, let's go back over to our interactive map. That's what I like about this, is we can truly interact with it. Look at all this traffic going on out in the eastern Pacific. There's Priscilla dying away. We have a new depression here that is going to be moving up as well towards the northwestern parts of Mexico, the Sonoran region, and all of this moisture, deep moisture, going to move up there. Great for rainfall to fill up any freshwater water supplies, but bad for hikers, bad for us human beings who have to live in this kind of environment. I would love it out there. I tell you what, if I ever win, if I get all those 6 numbers right, and I win some of that $500 million that frequently comes around in some Powerball or Mega Millions, I'll still do this, absolutely. Probably game the system and just buy my way to 1 billion subscribers, but just joking. But seriously, what I would do is I would cover the desert Southwest. I would live out there during monsoon season, late hurricane season, because this stuff is fascinating and dangerous at the same time. When you get this much moisture coming into an area like the desert Southwest, you speed up geologic time with all that flooding that goes on. It's raging, it gets pretty violent, and it can be damaging and destructive, again, to us humans, very impactful. But then when it's over, the landscape gets locked back into being arid again, waiting for that next moment for something to come along and speed up the process again. I just think it's utterly incredible and fascinating. I mean, come on. Water made the Grand Canyon. That's amazing. But it is dangerous if we are not careful. So making you aware, part of what I want to do here as part of our overall mission statement, right? So, yeah, flash flood watches out this way. Please pay attention. It is potentially going to be problematic. And you can see that on the accumulated rainfall. This is the GFS. 1 run, typical, very, the caveat there is 1 run of that model. And if we take this out just to 96 we'll take it out to day 5. Not overly impressive by like Southeast U.S. standards or Gulf Coast standards. Couple inches. Some of these bullseyes up here in Southwest Colorado are a little bit alarming in the 3-inch category, but that much rain over an area with terrain, slot canyons, dryness, whatever, yes, it can be problematic. Whatever's happening down there, yikes. You're talking some bad flooding. We'll see, though. The model is going to change. Each run, you'll see different versions of this. I remember seeing a few people down in southeast Arizona around the Tucson area very concerned about 5, 6, 7, 8-inch rain totals that the GFS was spitting out. it'll change every single run of the operational model. That is why you need to use this. You click on whatever area you're interested in, and then you can dig down for the more local information from there. All right, so let's move on. Talk about the coastal storm. We had a front that came through. Let's use red here. Front came through, and big high pressure up here. If this was winter, let's say January, we would all be getting ready for potentially a mega snowstorm if the cold air was deep enough. You know how that goes, right? It could end up being 33 degrees and rain. But it's not January. It is still fairly early in October. So you have these different air masses coming down, temperature gradients, and the warm Atlantic. All of that will combine to give us a pretty potent coastal storm. As you'll see, it evolves here over the next few days. There's our would-be Hurricane Jerry right there, by the way, spinning well to the south and east of everybody, so that's good. But these winds coming on shore in here, perpendicular to the mid-Atlantic states, the Carolinas, yuck. I think more houses are going to be probably falling into the ocean in Rodanthe and Buxton, unfortunately, as this energy really piles up the water there. All those high tides, astronomically high tides this time of the month because of the lunar cycle. And man, look at that long fetch straight into the Delmarva region, eventually straight into Jersey. Not a good weekend overall. If we look at the precip radar depiction, it is just going to be a mess here. Look at all that rain. Wow. So yeah, if you got travel plans up and down I-95, or you're going to Atlantic City and vicinity, it's just going to be raw and kind of nasty, pretty breezy out there. Again, back to the Weather Service, this is definitely your best friend. You're interested in what might happen with coastal flooding in this area, put your zip code or your city name right up here at weather.gov, and you'll get everything you need to know right there at your fingertips. You don't need me to talk to you for 20 minutes. It's all right there, and you can read it yourselves, all right? Let's just kill that tab. There we go. So yeah, this will be pretty impactful overall, and then it kind of dances around and moves on out, and eventually we'll watch for something maybe coming into the southern Gulf. We'll see. Maybe that was a one-off on the old GFS there. You know what? 1 year ago, now this is kind of crazy. It has been exactly 1 year since I set out with my team any camera systems at all for a hurricane landfall. It's been 10 years since we've had something like that happen. I set some stuff out for Aaron, which was a close call. You remember that? Relatively close, way back in August of this year. But we haven't done anything for hurricanes. It's been that slow. So are we going to get all the way to the finish line November 30th with no landfalls? We'll see. GFS trying to, we'll change that for you. But again, we'll see if that was a one-off. But look, a year ago, we were getting ready for Milton. It was a very impactful event. We all remember that. I just can't believe it's already been a year. So different folks talking about it. I pulled this one up from Weather History up on the old Twitter there. And look at all that rain. That was probably the biggest part of this that people didn't brace themselves for. There was a lot of rainfall and tremendous flooding to the north of the track this time. Sometimes you see that on the south side, but we had that front that came through that helped to squeeze all that out through here. Just fascinating stuff when you think about how tropical cyclones work and how they do what they do. We had the tornado outbreak. That was unbelievable. You can see some of the leftover. This is after landfall, so that's actually not relevant. But yeah, you remember the tornado outbreak as well. So yeah, 1 year ago since we did anything like this. Let me mute it. We don't need the sound. My colleague Matt and I setting up one of our trusty camera systems at the marina there in Punta Gorda. This is the process. This is the result. This was an incredible shot. This was, taking the nighttime event, understanding how our cameras work. We wanted to make the shot close up so that we could see stuff, and people left their boats there. I don't understand why, but that's not my business. And the result is exactly what you'd expect when you have 8 to 9 feet of storm surge coming into Charlotte Harbor. The result is damage and loss of boats, and I know several months ago that boat was still there, by the way, looking very much like it looks at the end of this video clip, kind of leaning down, bow into the muck, probably. As we transition to the last clip here of the montage, you'll see that. And that's pretty much how it stayed for months and months. Hopefully they have cleaned it up by now. So yeah, 1 year ago, all of that took place. Will we make it all the way to the end of, let's just get out of October first, right? And maybe even November, we'll see, without anything like Milton or anything else. By the way, the next name up is Karen, just in case you were wondering. And we'll see. Does that happen? The GFS seems to hint at it. We'll see if that's still there tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, let me talk about that real quick before I let you go. I'm going to do a morning update, and then I'm leaving Wilmington, going up to the Outer Banks, going to set up some cameras. You know, we're not working hurricanes right now, so we'll do other things, right? Got a lot of these camera systems and some new technology as well, even better cams that we've been testing for the last year or so. Used them during Aaron. They are just so much, wow, wait till you see the quality of these. But yeah, we're going to do that working with my friend Brad up there along the North Carolina Outer Banks, Rodanthe and Buxton in particular. And we're going to try some things and see how close we can get you to the impacts of this coastal storm. And then I'm probably going to get stuck out there for a day or two as Highway 12 will no doubt suffer closures. Otherwise, I try to make my way up to Jersey, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be in Rodanthe for a day or two longer after this storm has come and gone. That's just how it goes out there. If you're not prepared for it, then, well, that's on you, and I will be prepared for it. Anyway, I'll see you in the morning with another update, and we'll take a look at everything, and then I'll take you up to the Outer Banks and show you what happens with this coastal storm over the weekend. All right, have a good rest of your Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll talk to you again tomorrow morning.